Hi, my name's Brooke and I'll be talking about the web series Angel Hare. This web series was made by the East Patch and is about a boy named Jonah who discovers his old VHS tapes of the show he used to watch called Angel Hare. He discovers quickly that the VCR versions he has of the Angel Hare is very different than what aired on TV. As he goes back and watches the tapes, he discovers that the main character, Angel Gabby, is actually talking to Jonah and starting to talk to him on ways to protect himself and how to take care of himself when it's clear that his parents weren't present. And compared to the TV version that was broadcast, the Angel Gabby doesn't talk to Jonah. It's kind of like Dora the Explorer. She just kind of talks and expects a response, and then just gives a very vague answer, and that's it. Wanting to visit Gabby again, he ends up going back to his mother's house looking for just stuff that shows maybe the VHSs or more just stuff about the Angel Gabby. He goes to the house and of course does not tell his mom about this, and he goes up to the attic to discover a whole box full of just Angel Gabby stuff, just t-shirts and stuff. But he also discovers that there's a lot of books in there and stuff on child anger and how to be good to a child, and then also letters of his mother writing the people that made the Angel Hare series and writing them about how something is wrong with their show and something bad is happening. And he decides from finding out all that news that he is not going to tell her anything about it until he finds out completely what is going on about this show. One part that I have left out is that it's heavily implied that Jonah has a stepfather who was not so amazing to Jonah and his mother. And especially because the Angel Gabby goes into a lot of talk about how he teaches him how to protect himself, how to hide himself, and at one point the Angel Gabby sees a gun and tells him to show her the gun, and she gives Jonah step-by-step instructions of how to how to depart the gun and how to hide it. And it's, I don't know, he hides it, and it's probably never found, but it isn't heavily implied that something happened to Jonah's stepdad, that he may have died or something, and then that next day the place that keeps all the records of all of that stuff was flooded. We'll get back to that part. Anyway, so Jonah then decides that he cannot reach the Angel Gabby, so he decides that he's going to take the VHSs, take them and turn them into a video we can put on his computer, and then he's going to stream it to millions. And that's what he does, and it works. Gabby comes out and talks to Jonah again, and it's implied that they spend a lot of time together, and then all of a sudden she disappears. And then it's implied that Jonah waits for days and he doesn't really sit there, and that nobody else comes out and helps him. Other than the Badger character who sits there, who is usually with Gabby, nobody really appears until one day another angel comes down, and his name is Zag. Jonah immediately just hates Zag. He doesn't want anything to do with Zag. And Zag just kind of continues to do what Gabby used to do, except he doesn't really talk to Jonah. He just kind of tells the story, but not in a very good way. He changes up the script constantly and really doesn't care about the morals of the lessons. He just kind of wants to get that episode over with. Finally, Jonah decides just to yell at Zag, and Zag then starts to pay attention to him when he starts to talk about how he misses Gabby and he wants Gabby back and what has he done to Gabby. And Zag is like, I'm here to look for Gabby too. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you with the corporation that runs this, which is called the Reef, I believe? I don't specifically remember, but it's something to do with the Reef. And he's like, no, I have no idea what's going on. He just wants Gabby back. That's the whole thing. And Zag is like, I'm here to help. I was sent to find her. Jonah, really does not want to work with Zag, but he finds out this is probably going to be the only way that they can reach Gabby, and so they decide to work together. During one of the last few episodes, the Badger comes up to, I'm sorry, I cannot remember the Badger's name for the life of me. The Badger comes up to Zag and gives him a photo of a dream he's had, and it is a photo of a biblically accurate angel. A biblically accurate angel would be the angel that is described with many eyes, although technically that is not biblically accurate since it is told from a guy who had this hallucination, and biblically accurate angels are described as being also having angel parts and all of the rest of that stuff, but we can get into a little bit more of that later. Anyway, Zach can't really understand this picture of the biblically accurate angel. They know it's Gabby, but it doesn't make any sense to him. So he convinces Jonah to go look for another tape that will help them find out. Jonah sneaks into we assume he sneaks into a church during a session, whatever they're doing in there. He sneaks in and finds this really old tape, and he puts it in, and all of a sudden, it's a very, like, detective 90s, 80s look, and both the rabbit and both Zag and the badger are transported into this world, except they're not animals anymore, they're humans. With this new style, they're able to pull out the paper and see that it reads about this new upcoming star who's like fans of the masses. She has tons of fans, and she's there and she helps everybody, and they immediately know that they're talking about Gabby. Jonah then teaches Zag about like the internet and all of that stuff, so they decide to set up multiple TVs to see if they can catch Gabby on any of them. And while Jonah is asking Zag all of these questions, the badger points out that he can see Gabby on one of the screens. We then see Jonah take apart different parts of the scenes that we've seen previously to make up a whole Gabby, and it's different versions of Gabby. It shows like a very human Gabby, and then the rabbit Gabby, and then another version of Gabby, which we can assume was also another variation of her at one point, which is really cool. And so they end up trying to talk to Gabby, and Gabby tells them that she's just spread out everywhere, and she doesn't really know what's happening, and that she doesn't really need help, but she can't tend to Jonah anymore. And so does Zag. Zag says the same thing to her. He says that to Gabby that Jonah has grown up and he doesn't need her help anymore because he needs to move on, and he doesn't need her, and other people could use her help. Jonah reveals to Gabby that he agrees and that he has grown up, and he feels like he's taking a part of her time when she could be helping other people, and that he doesn't really need her anymore, that he's gonna be scared about everything, but he has to move on. Gabby doesn't really want that. She really wants her and him to stay best friends. So she asked him to then help her be there for other children if there's any way he can do that, and that Zag can help, and the hedgehog, and that they can all be one, and that Jonah can help them help other people. So that's what Jonah does. Jonah goes on to keep broadcasting their shows, and it ends up helping people. So that's a complete recap of the entire show, and now I'll be getting into like my personal theories and just a few things about it. One of my favorite things about this show is definitely the angelology that is used, especially when it comes to the angel Gabby, but in real life, she or he is known as the Archangel Gabriel. Notice how I switched the pronouns back right there, because technically in media and in the Bible, the Archangel Gabriel is referred to as a man. And for those who don't know who the Archangel Gabriel is, he is the one that is sent down to tell Mary that she is pregnant with Jesus. And he's like a very well-known angel, and he's the Archangel of heaven, which archangels really don't mean much at this, like in the angel tier list, basically. There's different angel tiers, and archangels, I'm sorry to disappoint for all the shows who want to make this a big deal, the archangels are not the biggest one. What TV shows do get right is that Metatron is second to Jesus. I mean, to God, not Jesus. But the archangels are not next in line. There's actually a really long list of angels and all of this stuff. So, yeah. I also love the angel Zag. They do make a point in the show where he brings up that there is many different angels that start with a Z or have a name similar to Zag. So hearing a different angel, I don't know much about that one because I'm more familiar with more popular angels. Hearing the angel Zag is a new one, so I liked how he was portrayed too. We see a more grumpier angel compared to like how light and happy they are, so that makes my heart warm. Another way that the angelology is really like enforced in this show is that we can see the change in the angel status for the angel Gabriel. The angel Gabriel. We see it as she goes from what we will assume the Archangel Gabriel, because that's what she's described as, and we see her go to a more biblically accurate angel. Biblically accurate angels are actually called thrones. They're called thrones. Sorry, I'm really struggling on the names. They're called thrones. And the media has deemed them to be biblically accurate angels, which I've talked about it also already, that thrones are actually described as, from a person from the Bible, describing them as a very demonic look compared to like a very holy person look, as most angels are described. He makes them all about eyes and sometimes he makes them about animal lookings, like animals having like 5 heads and legs, although most Christians see those kinds of angels as very demonic. So, but the thing about thrones is that they're higher up on the list when it comes to angelology. Like they're very high, where the archangels are very bottomless, and they're more likely to interact with humans, like the archangel Gabriel. The thrones are actually very close to God, and they're very friendly towards God, and they talk to him personally, and they're very there. So when we see in the Hare Angel series that the picture of Gabriel or Gabby, we see a depiction of her as a throne. Sorry, we're really struggling. As a throne. And we see her as the many eyes, as I described earlier, like very demonic, one would say. And that shows that her power overall has become huger. That she's directly coming from the source, and that she's directly speaking to kids, and she's becoming so much more powerful. My theory about the show is that the Archangel Gabriel came down and is indeed Jonah's guardian angel, and is there to help him in any way he needs. And the way of the TV show, the way that she used the TV show to talk to him, was because she knew it was his comfort show and that he could help her. And my thing about this is that this confirms that everybody in this world do have guardian angels. In the Catholic belief, it is true that most Catholics believe that everybody has an angel that watches over them. When it comes to guardian angels, they actually very much correlate with when you were born. So, like, for me, my guardian angel would be, and I'm going to turn this up because I genuinely do not know how to say this name. It would be Laezel. I don't know. I have to look at my iPad for this part because I don't know much about this angel, honestly. And I did this a little while ago when I did it. So, Laezel is actually the guardian angel of freedom who combats suffering. So, there's that. You can easily look all this stuff up, and it will tell you directly, like, it has a lot to do with when you were born, like, all of that stuff. But, so, clearly, that also gives a hint of when Jonah was born. He was clearly born under Gabriel. So, Gabriel was assigned to watch Jonah. I will also point out that it is very, like, apparent that Zeg is not his guardian angel, and was probably only sent down from heaven to look for her. So, I'm just gonna say that I don't know who Zeg is, but I don't know. There's one more thing that I would like to go over that I mentioned middle about his stepfather. I wanted to bring up my theory that something did happen to his stepfather, and I think Jonah did it. Because just the way that that she talks to him, the way that Gabriel talks to him, makes it very sound like that the Archangel Gabriel would try to help him in any way that he can from stopping the violence that was happening to him, because it's very clear that his stepfather clearly abuses him and his mother, because Gabriel does tell him where places to hide, where to be safe, just places where he can not be hurt by his stepfather. Anyway, why I think he did something is because the Archangel Gabriel goes on a rant about how when they come asking about something, that he needs to be at a friend's house and not anywhere near the sign. Gabriel says this to Jonah, and Jonah, it sounds like he listens and he's not nowhere near. So I'm going to assume that maybe the Archangel Gabriel was like, hey, Jonah, you need to do something to your stepdad. I'll find out, we can do something to make him not alive. And he was so young that he just went with it. And so he ends up killing his stepfather. And when they come looking for him, he runs to a friend's house and obviously doesn't get caught. But then it's also revealed that the records place where like all of the documents are being held was flooded. And I fully think that was Gabriel. She knew that the police probably thought that Jonah had something to do with his murder, and she felt that she needed to hide that. So she probably did what they did in the other series with Zag, where he jumps into another series I believe that she did that, although I do believe that is Zag's original series, like him as the human. But I do believe she probably hopped into another series that was maybe playing there as, oh my goodness, what if they were using her video as evidence? Maybe they were using her videos as evidence at the place to show that Jonah had been going through episodes and that something weird was happening with it. Ooh, I like that. So maybe something weird was happening. They were showing the VHSs down at the records office, and then she probably jumped out maybe and caused a flood, or convinced one of the fellow police officers maybe to cause a flood. I don't know, I just came up with that. I like that now. That's probably cool to think about, that they were using the VHSs. But because we can see that apparently they can make it obvious that Jonah's mother knows that he's done something. So she gets all these tapes of anger, like how to deal with an angry child and all that stuff. So in my mind, that tells me that she knows that he did it. Or hear me out. Jonah's mom knows that they have evidence that her son did something, and so she went down to the records place and destroyed everything. Ooh, that's also one. That could also be something that maybe that happened too. I don't know, I just feel like it has to have been Gabriel or his mother who went and destroyed the place, because there is no way in heck that was an accident that whole place flooded. So that could explain why she's like, she just knows that he did something and that the police might know, and so the mom went down and just destroyed all the evidence. I don't know, that sounds pretty good to me. Thank you for listening to my rant. I'm gonna go back to watching Harry Potter. Bye!
See. Good and bad and talk without the will to breathe. Didn't hear the strength within your words and what they